Now, whatever solution you're going to develop, there is a need to do proper market research. You need to know who needs this thing in the market. Now, most of the time, most people do market research in a way that is not practical, because you need to understand who is supposed to buy this thing. If the buyer of whatever solution or product or service you are rendering lives in location A, have a specific age group, a specific demographic, a specific religious inclination, whatever it is, maybe they even have a political ideation, you need to know, so that in your market research, you are able to know, okay, this is what you are willing to pay. Now, if you are fortunate that the solution or the product or service you are bringing in, there are other people already offering that, ask yourself, where do I fall in this category of people already offering this? Take, for example, if I need to open a shop where they sell tomatoes on maybe in a busy metropolitan city, first I need to ask myself, okay, who are the other people selling tomatoes? Are there roadside sellers? If yes, how do they sell? Who are their customers? I will interact with them. Are there those guys like the what's the word now? Those in corporate formal environment. How do they sell? So in deciding what I am going to sell to the price I would sell my tomatoes and all of that, I need to know which of these categories do I fall in. Now, based on the category that I fall in, what do I offer extra beyond my regular service? So let me explain that, why this is really important. If, for example, I go into a boutique to buy a cloth and I come in to buy shirts, if the boutique gives me an original shirt, they have not provided any extra service of value. They have just provided shirt selling. Meaning, as a customer, if there is somebody else selling same quality of shirts at the same price, they can easily switch me over if they have maybe closer proximity to where I am. So you need to ask yourself in your market research, what is the thing of value that you can create beyond what you are paid to do? What is the thing of value that you can create or that you can add beyond what you are paid to do? In delivering what you are paid to do at the exact time that you're supposed to deliver it is not something of value, it's what you are paid to do. You are just exchanging my money for the service, that's all. So the extra thing of value that is an incentive to the customer is when I am able to provide something beyond what the customer paid for. It could be an experience, it could be a feedback method to say, oh, hope you are enjoying my product or whatever. So in your market research, you have to consciously look out for what are these people not doing that I can do that becomes the extra that differentiates me from the market.
Now I want us to talk about market research. So, what kind of market research techniques did you use? What kind of market did you use to analyze your business environment before actually starting up the business?
Honestly, at the time that I started the business, I can't say I carried out extensive market research because I didn't have too much to work with in terms of statistics. The best that I did was to try and access my customers directly. When we started very small from home, and we did a lot of vendor events where we would go and talk directly to customers and have them test the products. So that was how we used to adjust accordingly, from the recipes to how they would want to be served, among many other things. So it was a very direct approach at research.
So what you're saying is that you actually got a lot of good feedback from your customer base, really.
I had a lot of honest feedback, I would say, which guided us better in terms of how to set our menu and what to offer.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, market research basically is to understanding your competitors. Were you able to understand how current competitors were working? Like, do you have a large pool of competitors as well? Do you have?
I would say the competition was more businesses that offer substitutes to what we were offering. At the time that we started, I can't see that there was anybody that was doing what we were doing, but there were a lot of substitute products that people could easily pick instead of ours. So we used them, or let me say we observed how they operated, which for a business provides you with clarity in terms of your structure, your marketing approach, because you see what the other people are doing and it guides you.
Were you able to like understand how market shares work? Like, okay, knowing what your market share is and what their own was.
In terms of customers' numbers, the market share, which is basically the division of the customers among your competitors, I can't say that we were able to work with specific numbers. I don't think we observed that initially because we did not have a location. We started by just offering it as a delivery service from the house, and the only way that we had we gathered engagement and statistics and whatnot was through online activity. So through that we were able to see or have an idea of how best to attract and retain within the market, how best to stand out, and what strategies and tactics to use to maintain your position in the market in such a competitive market.
So really your unconventional market research method actually helped your business, really?
Yes, it did, because in reality there's no playbook to the best way to put your business out there. It appears like, yes, if you follow the conventional marketing mediums, what they teach us in school, you would succeed. However, depending on what market you're actually catering to, that tends to change. So you have to adjust according to where you find yourself and what the people there want.
Do you find that are you the only restaurant with this type of business model that you run, or have you noticed that there are other people and maybe adjusting or trying to be unique, basically?
I think right now there's definitely a lot of people that are trying to stand out by being creative, offering ambiances that stand out. Right now we're in a digital age where people share their experiences constantly. So what service providers, especially in the food business, are trying to do is they're trying to create ideas and businesses where as people come and experience it, they carry it along their platforms, which in turn brings more people. So I think what the trend is now is we are trying to market our businesses and our products through our direct customers and returning customers.
What advice will you give young entrepreneurs when they won't actually carry out like market research?
I think the most important research that you can do for your product or your service is actually determining if it's sellable. You need to find out what the value is generally, what if people are willing to buy into something like that, if there's a need or desire for it, because in the absence of that you're wasting your time. You don't want to spend so much time developing a product or a service just for it to enter the market and to fail. So you have to know that there is an actual demand for it, if not for it then for something similar to it, because then you know that when yours comes with a lot of effort you can sell it as well.
Thank you for explaining, at least to understand, explaining the market research aspect of it.
Hello everyone, welcome to this interview session. I have with me two special guests from the University of Ibadan for a workshop on research policy and research ethics. My name is Christine Ofulue, and I'll be introducing our guests. To my far left is Professor Francis Egbohare.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. President of the Nigerian Academy of Letters. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And my immediate left is Professor Oyerunke Odunola.
Good afternoon, everyone.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. So we'll just start right off talking about the workshop. We've just finished a 2-day workshop talking about research, and I would like you to share your views, what you thought, what were your impressions from the workshop, starting with Professor Egbohare.
Well, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to meet when I was coming because of the way in which people treat workshops on research as fetish, without necessarily really putting in all that they need to put into it. But I was pleasantly surprised. Surprised not just by the participation, but also the seriousness,
Yes.
the level of seriousness, the level of discussion. One had the impression that there's a level of hunger, and that this was really a well-timed affair, with people really ready for it and waiting for the kind of knowledge that was exchanged. So I must say that it's a time well spent for me personally, and I'm happy that even the informal interactions that I had outside the formal setting, you know, people can be very polite
Yes.
in the formal settings, but outside the formal settings,
Be themselves.
they'll be themselves. I got very good feedback, and I think it's a fundamental shift that you're going to have in the National Open University of Nigeria as a result of this workshop.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And Professor Odunola, I think this is your first time at National Open University in Abuja. So what were your first impressions of the university and of the workshop?
Structurally, I was impressed. The cool atmosphere, the staff, you know, they were so welcoming, very warm. So I was highly impressed. And the workshop, the enthusiasm with which the members of staff participated, irrespective of their cadre. You know, they discussed freely, they were down to earth. I was highly impressed. It was a highly successful workshop, and I must congratulate you.
Thank you very much. As you know, the directorate is quite new, just 3 years old, and what we've been trying to do is just to promote a culture of research, and we're also blessed to have a Directorate of Entrepreneurship and General Studies. And it's very interesting that there's a very close linkage between the two, because for entrepreneurs, when you're trying to develop entrepreneurs, there's an aspect of research that is involved. And we've been trying to build the bridge. Research is involved when you have an idea and you want to test whether it's going to work. Research is involved when you've developed some product or some service and you want to commercialize it. So you want to protect that idea. So you want to patent. So I guess my question would be that what advice would you have for young people, in the people that are training to be entrepreneurs, in terms of how they can hone their skills in research? Professor Gwari.
There's a lot to learn. I think you just keyed off by talking about interfacing. At a macro level, the interfacing will involve units like yours and the other units in the institution. At the university level, you will also talk about, because of the unique nature of the National Open University, interfacing with various organs of society in order for us to harness the cultural assets. Because the research itself must start with, first of all, understanding what the needs are. And some of these needs are already being met at different levels within the local informal markets and so on. So one thing also for people to understand is how to interface with the indigenous knowledge systems, the local entrepreneurial initiatives that are going on, and then of course, more than that, we have unlimited capacity now to also use the internet resources to look at the possibilities also of keying into institutions. There are institutions all over the country now. Part of the research also would be for students to locate some of this capacity, of course facilitated by the Entrepreneurship Center, in order for students to get help in the places that are closest to them. Those are some of the critical areas I think we need to to be able to interface.
Yeah.
But then the personal skills of students to research,
Mm.
to search and research is very interesting, and that is often going to depend on the patience and the seriousness of the particular individuals in terms of the fact that the society is now so sophisticated that you can't just put anything out for people to consume. People's tastes are now at the global level. You cannot force people to patronize what you are producing because they are patriotic. That era of patriotism for service in order to consume services is gone, or products. So that's where research has become very critical, to understand the dynamics of the market,
Yes.
to understand the quality issues, to be able to see what is already there, so that we can add a little bit. You see, all innovation, actually, innovation doesn't mean that you are starting a totally new product. You simply add value.
Value.
And I think this is where research becomes very, very critical.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very interesting. You talked about innovation, and I would like to ask Professor Odunola. I know you've had some experience you were the former director for research, and I know that you had a unit that dealt with uptake of research findings. Can you share some of your experiences? Did you have some of your students that or staff who had some research output that they were able to commercialize, and how did they go about it?
Well, basically, starting off with our fellows, then what we did was to try and reach out to the society, basically from the onset, from the creation of the idea.
Okay.
So we targeted specific communities, tried to look inwards in the community, and to fish out the specific needs for such a community. So at the preliminary level of generation of the research idea, the communities were already involved. They were involved so that we can actually solve that problem at the local level. So they were involved at the stage of design for the research, and then finally we have the outputs, and then we got the university involved at that level, and then of course the government, the Oyo State government, and then the translation, which is trying to see whether the outcome will really solve the problem of the community. We have several examples. A good one is the Kube Atoda community around the Total Garden in Ibadan. There's a waste to wealth center there, translated by one of our fellows, and they are doing very well. They know how to sort their waste, into paper waste, things, and so on. Not only that, they can convert the paper waste to useful products like charcoal.
Wow.
So we are really meeting their needs.
The needs of the community.
Also, just to make sure that they are interested, there's this bid: if you bring your waste, you get something in return.
Incentives.
Yes, so the whole idea is to target the needs of the society and trying to improve the society.
I think that's a very good tip for our upcoming entrepreneurs.